This video is for people working in the web software development industry who are required to comply with the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines International Standard, either by your organization's policy or by the laws of your country. This includes software engineers, UX designers, product owners, and management. The Web Content Accessibility Guidelines are defined by law in the United States as Section 508 and in the United Kingdom as Public Sector Bodies Websites and Mobile Applications Number 2, Accessibility Regulations 2018. Other countries around the world will have similar laws. I will not list them all in this video. In the United States, federal agencies and federal contractors are required to comply with Section 508, as do private companies doing business directly with the federal government. This site offers a set of tools to use to check for Section 508 compliance in the United States. Some are free, while others requires payment. If you're currently researching a UI library for your React web application, or you are in the process of selecting a React UI library for your organization, and Ant Design or Ant Design Pro is on your radar, or if you have no choice in the matter whatsoever and you have to work with Ant Design because it's your job, there are certain things about this library that you should be aware of, especially when it comes to web content accessibility. I will elaborate on this in a moment. But first, I want to talk about the origins of Ant Design, also referred to as Ant-D. Ant-D was originally developed at the Ant Group, which is a Chinese company. You may have heard of a company called Alibaba, the Chinese equivalent of Amazon. The Ant Group is an affiliate of Alibaba. So naturally, being a Chinese product, the documentation for Ant Design was originally written in Mandarin Chinese. When the Ant Group decided to open source the project and made it available to the international community, they made an English version of the docs. However, if you are a native English speaker, whether that be British English or American English, you can tell that for the most part, the English version of the docs were AI generated. Most of the time, this is fine, but there are times when you have WTF moments when you get lost in the translations. There are also times when you have no translation at all, in which case you will have to use Google Translator, which unfortunately you will be using quite a bit of if you are forced to use and design for your job within an English speaking company. It is not my intention to lambast Aunt D, because if you are a Mandarin speaker and you don't need to support web content accessibility guidelines, and you don't need heavy customization, then AntD is a very convenient and easy to use uh, library, especially when you use it with your React web applications. But if you do need to support web content accessibility guidelines, then perhaps other libraries might serve you better. It is possible to make AntD and AntD Pro 508 compliant, but it is going to take some work on your part, and that work might be considered hacky. Here are a few popular sites in terms of traffic that uses the AntD library, and I've used the free accessibility checker tools mentioned earlier to rate them. This is the Ant Group US version of their public site. The Snapchat web site uses AntD. So what are your options if you insist on using Ant Design with React because you like the convenience of it, or you're stuck with it because the decision to use Ant Design was already made for you? Well, certainly one option is to fork Ant Design and then do your best to make it 508 compliant and to make the default language to your locale, whether that be UK English or United States English. I mentioned earlier that it was not my intention to lambast Aunt D and to make my evaluation as fair as possible. Let's evaluate the US government website, Section 508, and see if it's following its own regulations. So off screen, I did an audit of this government website here, and guess what? It's not compliant under United States law. So the federal government is breaking their own law. Certainly, this site does not use AntD, but the effort to make it 508 compliant was rather lacking. So at the end of the day, it is up to the development team to make their product comply with web content accessibility. But certainly it does help if you select a library that has the mechanism in place to make that easier for you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing. It doesn't cost you anything. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.